Today, I'm sitting down with Jason Van Dyk, the founder of Sociable, a community-focused app that's tackling one of the biggest problems of our generation, loneliness. He's building something that goes against every trend in tech right now. While everyone's racing towards AI and quick dopamine hits, Jason's betting on the one thing that can't be replicated: real human connection. I hope you enjoyed this episode. On your lips. And also from this angle, because a lot of the times like the guest will be sitting where you're on and it looks like the mic is actually in front of their mouth, but it's not really.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know the etiquette, right? Like just keep it as close as you can.
I know, if you even talk from like this sort of this angle, it just doesn't pick it up.
Yeah.
We've had so many people that talk and then they start going like this, and you're like, oh, please. And it's so difficult to say. Go back.
You're doing podcasts for Sociable now. What's the...
Yeah, so we had a podcast many moons ago, just out of COVID.
Yeah.
As most people just like jumped in because it was big then. But thereafter, then we did Sociable podcast just with the hosts.
Okay.
Just to like chat to them, like, what are you guys doing? How did you start this? What has it meant to you?
Yeah.
So to get like awareness for them, because oftentimes these people have the most amazing stories, like a genuine will blow your minds.
Yeah.
But they don't always vocalize it or get the chance to do it. Like I sit in these meetings, I'm like, this is what we do. What do you guys do? And they just go on tangents. And I'm like,
really?
If I could just take this right now and show people, you would have just people just losing their minds. I mean, people would say like they built this because throughout university they felt so lonely, or that they had their friends but didn't feel fulfilled by it.
Yeah.
And they wanted someone to be able to show up alone because they took the step to show up alone. And you know, it's not just a community that just had a name, or they wanted to build a brand, or they wanted to be popular.
There's a deeper reason.
So deep.
Yeah.
And they just don't have the platform yet, maybe, or they don't think that their story is worth telling.
Yeah.
Or they feel that maybe it's a bit embarrassing, or that, but just to get them out there. And so that's kind of what we use the podcast for, was for that. And that's also one of the content directions we've got, is to interview people. So you like put them on a couch or put them on a bench, just the mic, and then we just ask them questions about themselves.
Yeah. And
so,
do you find that they are able to open up with a mic and everything in front of them, or
it's sometimes just a bit of warming up.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I'll sit across from them. I'm off camera, but they'll just talk to me.
Okay, that's ideal. Yeah.
And then they open up, and so in the beginning it feels like everyone's got this thing. I've even got it where you feel like you're pitching or marketing the whole time, and then you get the
on the podcast,
on the podcast, or even when we do the interviews with them.
Yes.
So like you have a sort of tonality, or you have a script that you feel like you've seen on social media that you want to replicate, and then you start talking to them, and then they'll reply to you, and then the rawness and the realness comes out, and that content is just. Sometimes I just watch it before you've even posted it, just for 10 minutes, because it's so impactful to me.
Yeah. It's just that fine line, because sometimes people do feel a little bit like, I've had some people on, you know, and they seem like they want to market their product, which I get, which is cool, but it's so much more powerful and impactful when they just open up, and it does usually take time for them to do that. How are you though when you're interviewing someone? Does it come naturally to you?
No, not at all. I've been laughing because I've been going through some of the B-roll in our footage, and we just shot 3 videos in one day, and my creative director was like, the B-roll from this is going to be so basic. It's just laughing at me. Being in front of camera, no, not at all. Very introverted for most of my life, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this has been...
But you're building Sociable.
That's one of the reasons that I'm building it, is because I wasn't always at the for some parts of my life I was, and then for sort of as I got into university, I started focusing a lot on my studies, and that kind of drew me into being more introverted for a couple of years, and then I just didn't really know how to find what I wanted to find, or maybe there wasn't necessarily the platform, and that's why I didn't know how to do it, and I wasn't happy just blocking that part of myself off. I wanted to feel like, if it was a touch rugby game, which that's actually the one main reason why we started building, was I was at university and I had done my undergrad in Durban, and then I moved to my postgrad in Cape Town. But you miss out on O Week, and you miss out on all those moments that you kind of build those connections and friendships. So I got there, and it was, okay, well, now what? How do I find the things that I want to find that are off the beaten path? And there was nothing for that. And I didn't have it throughout that whole year. I think I played touch rugby once. You get to a WhatsApp group, and then those people just kind of leave. And it's like, okay, but now how do I find that? And I didn't want other people to have that experience. I wanted people to say, oh, I want to go for a hike today. Cool. Who wants to join? maybe 2 people join, maybe 20 people join, but at least they have that opportunity to do that. And then through that, I obviously started building, and I know you're building a software product now.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if you've gone into the weeds of actually building it yourself, but that's an isolating journey.
No, I can imagine. Okay, so to start off, for the people who don't know you, what is Sociable and what problem are you trying to solve through it?
So here's the marketing pitch, which we just spoke about. So in short, Sociable is a community-focused, events-based app. That's like the easiest way to describe it. It's the way that most people have heard me say it. But I also say that with a very specific reason in that order. It's community-focused. People say it's an events app. It has events, but community is the core of what we're doing. So everything is linked back to a person, to a movement, to a feeling. It's not just you go do something. It's that you join people in doing something. And so that's what we've built. It's a platform to find other people that are doing something that you might be interested in or that you want to be interested in, and to follow them along, to build community and journeys with them. And so that you don't just basically end up doing the same things, or that you're forced to be in the same places just because of sort of the way that life has panned out for you. I mean, people, for example, will have one interest, and for a large portion of their life, that's what they do. Their friendships build around that interest. And then maybe they're not so interested in it anymore, but they don't know anyone else doing anything else, so they just kind of stick with it. And they miss out a whole part of themselves. I mean, this is the coolest thing. I'm so glad I get to talk about this with someone. So paddle.
Yeah.
You've seen how big paddle is.
Yeah, it's exploding.
But why? Why that over all the sports that have come before it? So everyone that wanted to play paddle was playing it for the first time. There was no expectations. There was no, if I get there, maybe I don't know how. Maybe that person's so much better than me. Maybe they're more youthful. Pros were in their 40s and 50s. Very few sports have that.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Because people didn't have a barrier of expectation to do that. And then it became accessible and plentiful. And then more people tried it out. And it was encouraged to try out. And now it became this massive sport. Right? But how many other things are there that people could be so passionate about, but they don't know how to access it, or they feel judged by it, or they're just not sure at all? So, I mean, someone could go their entire lives not trying something that could be the thing that changes their life. For everything, it can be something that's been around for years. It could be golf for someone that's never lived in a place that had a golf course.
Yes.
And now they see it's too expensive to start, or I've never tried, or I don't know anyone that does it.
Yeah.
And so they're daunted.
Yeah, yeah.
But how sad that you can go through your entire life knowing that there could be the one thing that sets you alight that you just haven't had access to. But how do we give people that access? How do we break down those barriers of expectation, or that, if there's one extra step, maybe it's finding it, maybe it's finding people that do it, maybe it's seeing what the weather would be like on the day. Like, how do we take every single anxious barrier away and just give people opportunity and then let them decide?
And that's what you're trying to do now with Sociable.
That's exactly what we're trying to do, yeah. So it's community, but it's also purpose and fulfillment and passion. It's that there's so many things that even myself that I've never done before, and then through building Sociable, I've had the opportunities to do, and I'm like, that is so cool. That is so unique.
You test out all these events, right, yourself? Like, you go to a lot of them.
Yeah, I try to go to a lot of them. They always invite me. Some of them are women's only communities, so I don't necessarily always go to those ones. But I always meet with them, or I try and try them out, because, I can't sit here and say there's so many things, try experiences, and then never do that.
Yeah, exactly. But you studied business, right?
Yeah.
In uni.
Yeah.
But you taught yourself to code?
Yeah, I did.
How did, in uni or after?
No, after uni.
Okay.
In my first year out, I think it was my first year out. So it's a long story, and we've kind of told it a bit before. So if someone has heard it, excuse. But we essentially hired developers. My co-founder was in Australia, and so he found developers in Australia, and relatively affordable, which should have been red flag number one. And I think being young and naive as well, the issue was, and I kind of realize it now in the development space, is that scope creep is real, and understanding and fleshing out your product is a very difficult thing to do.
When you say scope creep, what do you mean by that?
So having an idea and then being able to articulate what that looks like without it. So in the beginning, you say this idea, I want people to be able to do this. Yeah. Great. But in order to do that, there's this avenue, that avenue, that avenue, that avenue. It's like, I want to find people that are hosting events. Great. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, you both need profiles. Okay, you need to be able to find that person's profile. You have to be able to follow them. You have to be push notifications. These are all things that are under that umbrella.
Yes.
That could very easily not be assumed when you say this is the functionality that I want.
By the dev.
By the dev, yes.
Okay.
And so no one really is ever going to understand your vision as well as you. And that's just a case of you not being able to communicate your vision well enough. But also there's always going to be an implicit loss of understanding when you're communicating something. And for us, that happened. But it was compounded with, and I think in hindsight, to give them grace, they were a new company and they were communicating things to us that necessarily weren't happening. So your beta is going to be ready on this date. Great. Missed. Deadlines just missed. And one of the deadlines they promised, I mean, they were like, nothing can ever go wrong. This is going to happen. I said, just give me worst case scenario. Don't fluff me with an amazing date. Worst case scenario. And they gave it to us, and we were going to launch here in Cape Town. So we flew the team from Durban to Cape Town. We had this huge launch party. We spent so much money for new entrepreneurs. We were spending like hundreds of thousands on this giveaway, this competition,
like this launch party.
This launch.
Yeah.
And got on the plane, landed in Cape Town. Data came on, and SMS or WhatsApp from the devs, beta's not going to be ready.
On the day it was supposed to be ready.
On the day, as I landed. And that was it. I can't do this anymore. There's just too many mispromises. I have no control over my own business. Yeah. And I just said, send me the code. Like, that was the message. It ended up in a bit of a fight, but just send me the code and I'll see what I can do.
But you had no idea.
No idea.
So they sent you the code, and then what?
I phoned a friend and I said, teach me how to spin this code up, which is like get it running on a simulator. And he came over and showed me how to do that. And then I just started hacking away. So I would just delete a line. Okay, well, what did that do? Oh, change this. Okay, what did that do? Google stuff. Okay, how do I make this red so I could see what was happening?
And this is before ChatGPT. Okay.
This is Stack Overflow. And lots of late nights and just hacking things apart, seeing what worked and what didn't. And that kind of brought me into getting an MVP out. Yeah. Which was, in hindsight, not great, but it was.
Was it an app or?
Yeah, it was an app. Okay. Yeah, so it was an app. It was out. It worked. It did the basics well. There's actually one thing it didn't do well. This is an interesting story. I don't think I've ever told many people, but in the beginning we had obviously the ticketing feature, which then became a pass feature, which allowed people to purchase for paid events. And there was an issue on the server that when people were paying, the ticket wasn't generating to them enough. So it was getting marked off because you obviously need to reserve some if people are trying to check out, but they haven't yet, and so forth. And that wasn't automatically happening. So I was manually assigning every single ticket to someone during that period for like 6 months.
Oh my God.
So I would get a notification someone's just purchased. I would run to my laptop. I would not have to just quickly manually assign it to them.
That sounds like chaos, man.
Chaos. So that was my learning experience because I didn't do it right the first time because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
what about your co-founder now in Australia? I assume he didn't have any tech background?
Yeah, so he had, funny enough, he was studying engineering and I was studying business. So he was like, oh, I'll be the tech guy. And it just so happened that I picked it up quicker than he did. And so I took that on, and he ended up being more of the marketing visionary guy. And in the interim, he had flown back. He got stuck here because of COVID, and he came back. His dad unfortunately got very sick, and he came back to be with him, and then got stuck here, and so he's still here now. But that was the early stages.
But also launching an MVP during COVID is probably not, especially for your type of business. Like, no one could go out and do things, right?
Yeah. So bringing people together was illegal. Genuinely. And we had this thing that brought people together.
Yeah. And I mean, you couldn't foresee that this was going to happen.
So that was actually, in hindsight, during that period of COVID was when this dev stuff was going on.
Okay.
When I hadn't yet learned. So it gave us that period to refine the product. So in hindsight, it's probably great because it paused everything and gave us a chance to refine. Whereas if I think it was open, we would have maybe just faltered too early. And not got it right. So, blessings in bad moments. And yeah, one of the things that we did, which is also a very cool story. So we obviously planned to try and roll out the brand, and then COVID happened. So we were trying to figure out, okay, well, we still got the brand, we still want to get some momentum. So we had a thing called the Masked Ball. So we got a whole bunch of our friends and DJs and stuff in Joburg to go to a cafe, and they would play a DJ set and we would live stream it on Facebook. And then we try to partner with Mr. D to do giveaways for people at home to basically be able to order in and watch this live stream for events.
Interesting.
So like that's one of the things that we try to do to basically combat that.
Yeah.
So we just had to get super creative with how we were marketing what we were doing.
Where did you get the ideas for this kind of stuff? Did you learn this in business, like in studies? And do you feel like that helped at all?
As I was about to say, I'll preface it by saying no. Business is a very specific type of degree where, to be honest, how much you really get out of it in the lower levels, undergrad, not really. Postgrad, probably a bit more. Mostly I think they're how to study and how to work in groups. Very important, and how to read information and synthesize it. The actual content, I mean, you're doing a marketing degree, and most of the textbooks are from 10 years ago. Not one of them would even mention TikTok, probably. It's probably one of the biggest marketing channels right now that you could use. So how much is it really giving you? Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that I use, but predominantly not. Not in this type of business. But what it did teach me was work ethic and how to just bite down and get things done, and time management. So there are things that I can take from it, and I don't regret doing it. I think who I was before I studied was a very, very different person to how I came out as. And so just that alone, I think, is worthwhile. But in terms of actually starting the business and what we've used, bits and bobs, but nothing that you can't do yourself.
Would you recommend for someone who's thinking of studying at uni and they want to start a business one day, should they rather study how to code, computer science, as opposed to business studies? Like, you taught yourself to code, right?
Yeah.
But if you had studied how to do that, that would have been ideal, because then you could have built this whole entire product on your own from the get-go.
Yes and no, because I mean, it's also a case, especially now with AR, yeah. I'm hesitant to say study anything, because you can rapidly learn things very, very quickly if you're using it in the correct ways.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a full replacement yet for any serious job, but it's a tool that you can learn rapidly with.
Like Lovable, for example, or Replit?
Yeah, so I mean, all of them, ChatGPT even alone, I think, but what's necessary and what people are sort of need to do is understand the context in which you're working and use that as a supplement for that. Because I'm seeing a lot of, there was a dev that, I think it was on Reddit, but built this whole site just purely through what they call vibe coding. I'm sure you've heard the term.
No, vibe coding.
Okay, so vibe coding is basically not knowing how to code and just using AR tools and LLMs to build an entire software suite.
Huh.
They call it vibe coding because you're not actually coding, you're just vibing your way through.
Right.
Thing. And he built this software, software as a service, a SaaS tool, and had customers, paying customers, and was basically commenting to people it was on Twitter, on Reddit, like, this is what I've built. How do you guys do this? Because I'm not really sure, because he knew nothing about. And when the real devs found out, they just started hammering his site.
Yo.
They were just plugging stuff in it and running queries on his site, on his backend, and plugging into his database and posting things. And then he was just commenting, and eventually he has to pull it down. Because there are certain things that I can get away with, but there's certain things that you need to understand the full context of to get right. So, but
especially if you're accepting money from people,
you should never be doing that unless you've got a serious. I mean, it took me a long time to even be comfortable doing anything with payments in, because it's one thing building a product that you're trying to offer someone something and it doesn't really work as they intended. But when there's money changing hands, you can't be making mistakes.
It's emotional then.
Yeah.
Because Sociable, you didn't monetize it, right, in the beginning?
Yeah, we didn't.
So when did you start monetizing?
We started monetizing last year. Yeah, was when we opened that. But even to this point, right now, the monetization it's very limited, and I want to keep it that way for the foreseeable future, because especially when we're growing, our business is value offering. So we want to offer value to the communities. And you don't do that by charging them upfront in the beginning. You don't say to someone, oh, I love what you're doing, you're bringing people together, pay me all this money to bring people together. It's not how it works. Yeah. You've got to show them value, that whatever you're doing is an offer to them that you can then get something from. That's longevity. That's the way I see it, at least. That's a sustainable business model, is to say, when you win, I can get some of those winnings.
Yes.
Versus saying, pay me now and hopefully you make it. That's how you make a lump sum and then fall off. And so that's kind of the approach I'm taking, is not to be too aggressive with it.
But then how do you handle the money stress in the beginning? Because I mean, you are spending, I'm not sure how much, but a lot of money, I'd imagine. And you know you're not going to monetize for some time. How do you handle the money stress?
It's difficult. It is. I think I've got the unique benefits of the not having to pay for devs.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And that's a massive cost.
Yeah.
That is a massive cost. And I think that's what's allowed us to have this perspective.
How much would you have paid if you went with a dev? Like
with our current stack?
Yeah.
Millions.
Like millions.
With the current stack, I mean, just generally a basic app is going to cost you 500k easy.
Okay.
And we've got a lot of unique things and functionalities and dashboards and databases and things that run that I would see that in the millions for sure.
Okay, so you're saving millions essentially.
Yeah.
Sure, that's wild, man.
It's also, but I mean, you're saving money, but you're also being able to offer things to people. So it's really cool when I chat to some of the hosts or some of the community members or just users, and they say, oh, I have this problem. I say, cool, jot it down and I'll get it out for you next week.
Yeah.
And I know I can do it.
But you know, so many people starting a business, they want to earn money as quick as possible to counter that money stress issue. But like, how did you not do that? Like, what do you tell yourself? Like, aren't you stressed? Like you're burning all cash and...
It's incredibly stressful. I think this is where sort of the startup space and raising funds comes into play. And that's where a lot of people go. And that is probably the recommended route, is to raise funds, because that will allow you to build the business without having to really aggressively monetize or build a sort of a product that's not viable, and try and sell pipe dreams. And I think that's where, unfortunately, South Africa is still trying to get to grips with it, to compete on the global stage, although it is getting there and there's people doing amazing work in the space. I was actually just reading and commenting on, I don't know if you know Matt Marsden from Startup Club ZA. He's trying to really reinforce that. He's doing it's $1 million, I think, investment round competition right now. So that's obviously fantastic for the space, and really drumming that up. And there's so many other people doing great work. So we are trying to compete there. And I think that will be the turning point once we get that matured, where these types of products and just other products in general have that space to work within, to build some really fantastic solutions for people without having to try and, monetize too quickly or really have that money stress.
And I guess you also believe in your product, right? Like you have a vision behind it. It's something, I guess, meaningful to you on a deeper level. I mean, I'm just curious to understand, like, because we touched on it a little bit earlier, like, what is the reason that you started Sociable, like, for you? Because you said you're naturally introverted, right? Like, is there a connection there? Like,
yeah, I think it started, maybe the vision has evolved. So it did start because we had the problem, myself and my co-founder, he had the same problem in Australia, and it was an easy solution to that. But the more that we've built the product and the more that I've had the opportunity to chat to people, the more the vision has evolved and also solidified. Yeah. And that is the bringing people together. But I think it's more than just what I said earlier in terms of offering people passion. I think the market also needs it. And what I mean by that is not necessarily exactly what we're doing, but a different approach to building and to innovation, and a different approach to what we're telling people. So I was thinking about this today, and was a curious question to even ask you. So first it was crypto, right, and the blockchain, and they said that it was going to be this thing that really changed people's lives, and that's why everyone was gung ho, and that's why there was so much money sunk into it.
Yeah.
Right. How much has it probably changed your life right now? Besides, unless you're an investor, but on the practical level, how much has it changed your life?
Not much. Yeah.
Not much. I mean, there's probably tools that are happening that we don't know about that are using it, but not much. AI, another thing, right? Besides getting workouts and some recipes and that kind of stuff.
Emails.
And how much has it positively fulfilled your life?
Fulfilled your life is the key point, yeah.
To make it better, not make it easier. And
Yes,
so,
yes.
okay, we're saying that it's this tool that's going to make life amazing. Great. Most people are fearful of it. And why are they fearful? Fearful because we've been telling people that it's going to be this amazing tool that's going to make life better for probably 3 to 4 years now, sinking more money than ever before into it. Has anyone felt that it's offered them that yet? Okay, no. So surely there's a disconnect where we're telling people the more you put into it, the better it's going to be. But we haven't seen any better yet. We've seen quicker, we've seen easier. I read even just product descriptions on Checkers, for example. It's AI written. Do you know how pointless it is me reading this? Because I get no substance or value from it. I'm basically just reading bullet points. It would have been easier because I'm just reading between AI words. Elevate. You've got M dashes. You can pull it out, right? And so if we're using it for all products, it's actually kind of made it worse. There's no creativity and uniqueness. There's no
human element.
It's gone. But even the humanness aside, there's no uncertainty. And quite frankly, life is uncertainty. That's the purpose of it, is that something can be good because something is bad, or you never quite know. It's where we should be going. It's that we're losing that completely because we're just trying to optimize everything. And in doing so, we're also just completely forgetting about ourselves. So no one's building technology that looks, okay, we're going to get to this future, and then what? Oh, AI is going to save you so much time. Okay, what are we doing with it? No one's saying anything. No one's offering it to us. So everyone's sitting here going, okay, well, do we really want the future? Because what does it look like? Right now, it just feels like we're kind of stumbling towards it and limping towards it. Okay, we're going to have billboards everywhere. We're going to have cars that drive for us, so we're not even going to have that interest in being in the car. We're not going to know if the content we're consuming is real or not. We're not going to know if the music we're consuming, there's this whole thing happening right now with Spotify, and whether they've got AI bands that are on their platform and basically just getting all the ad revenue to them as a business versus to obviously creators. Okay, so this is all happening. It doesn't sound like it's fantastic for us, but yet we're told we better do this. This is good. It's like, okay, but should we? Okay, so then who's offering us the alternative when we get there? Who's saying that's going to be taken away, it's fine, but here's what you're going to gain? And that's kind of where I want to be, is to build that type of technology, to say like, cool guys, don't worry about that. Yes, you're stressful, but you can also, maybe you're not doing the boring administrative work, but you can actually build a community that rewards you back, that is something that you're deeply passionate about, by teaching people how to read or to hike or to play golf or paddle. Okay, that sounds like a good future. If I can leave the job that I'm not necessarily that passionate about and actually monetize my passion because people aren't doing the mundane work anymore and they get to do this, now that sounds like an exciting future. Okay, so these are hand in hand. And so oftentimes people think I'm anti-AI. It's like, I'm not, I'm pro-AI. I really am. I use it almost every day. Okay, but I'm also pro-human. I'm also pro the alternative to that. I'm also pro building a business that gets people to shift their heads and their perspective that there is another opportunity for us, and that we don't always just have to get sunk into this one path that we've been told that this is where the money goes.
Would you say you're fearful of AI and the future it could bring?
Definitely. I mean, just a unique thought experiment. I don't know if you've seen any of the AI video editing that people are doing in adverts that they're making with it. I saw some guy made a KFC advert that he had shot in person and he replicated it with AI, and it was pretty close. Not great, but close. Okay, so give it a few years, it's going to be right there.
So he filmed the actual ad physically, and then he just told AI to make the same thing. Yeah, and it did.
Well, I don't think he gave it. He just prompted until it got a very similar outcome. So here's the shot. I want it to be hyper realistic. I want the light to be down. Obviously, he's a DOP, so he knows the sort of the verbiage to use to get it right. But give it a few years, and it'll be easy for just the layman to go do a very similar thing, or to post up an ad and say replicate this type of style, right? And so if everyone has access to the best of that. Okay, so what does that mean for us? So when you're consuming content, you probably remember from your childhood the really good ads. They're good because they stood out against the rest. Okay, so now what if everything is the best? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for what you consume? Same thing as the descriptions, as I said, in the products. They don't really mean anything to me now because they all sound the same, or they all look the same. Okay, so what happens when that's extrapolated to things like adverts, to things like music, to things like movies? And it's always going to optimize to what works best in the algorithms, right? And then we can say, okay, but then it's going to be up to us to figure out how we be contra to the market. And that's what's going to make us stand out. into the point that that filters back into the AI, and then they start doing that thing. And it's going to be this ever cat and mouse game to try and figure out what's different and what's unique until it adapts. Right? And that's what I'm fearful of, is not necessarily that it's got this overlord and taking over. It's that we're feeding it everything, and in doing so, not creating in our own right. I mean, in terms of the AI businesses, I'm not sure how well you know how it works, and just in a very, I mean, I don't even know too much, but essentially they feed it information, and that rank orders it and collates it, and then figures out what's high quality and spits that back out, right? And it can do that because of training data that it's had and what people have given it as input to get out, right? And the better it gets, it needs more training data to train off to improve it, right? But now what happens when it starts to train off itself? What happens when it gets into the cyclical loop where it's feeding itself information and there's no new input or stimulus to it? And I think that's what most of these AI companies are stressing about, is that it needs more and more. So that's why they're partnering with different companies to get different data sources to feed it what they call like high quality or clean data.
What will happen if it starts feeding itself stuff?
Well, it will obviously inevitably it will hallucinate and then feed itself hallucinations, and that's a dangerous game. Or it will just end up in this loop cycle where it's producing similar outputs continuously, and that's why you're going to read everything that sounds almost the same. M-dashes are a big one.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you see an M-dash, you know it's most likely written by AI. But interestingly, when I've got so many business ideas, I always run it through ChatGPT just to get an idea, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny, the prompt I gave it, and I asked it for its feedback, it gave me this very interesting view on the idea, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then a friend of mine was doing the same thing for her business ideas, and she read me her prompt because she was super excited, or the feedback, and she was super excited by it. It sort of validated her idea, and the terminology it used was almost identical to mine. And I mean, we're just two people. I guess it's happening with hundreds of millions of people. Yep. It's already just regurgitating the same kind of information, which is kind of strange. But because you feel like it's speaking to you, but it's actually not.
There's that dangerous game, which is obviously a different point of it that people could be fearful of, which is the dependence on it, and the parasocial relationship that you have with something that doesn't exist. So people are asking it for mental health advice, for something that doesn't exist, that's never lived, it has no concept of experience, and it's giving you advice on what to do.
Do you feel like AI is going to drive the loneliness pandemic more so? Do you think it's going to make it worse?
I think it will, and I think it won't, and then it will. And so people are feeling seen and heard because they have this tool. But to the point that eventually the dependence is going to grow large, and especially now, I think that there's a lot of people using it that we don't even know on social media, that are AIing photos or using AI for captions and for write-ups, etc., or full AI profiles. And eventually when it gets to the point where we don't know, and we start realizing how much we don't actually know when it's used and when it's not used, and the return on using the social platform starts to dwindle because, okay, are these real people that I'm chatting to? Have I just been chatting to someone for 10 minutes that's not even a real person? Are they arguing with me in my comments about this thing, but they're not even a real person? Now I've spent all this time arguing with someone that doesn't actually have an opinion or exist. Okay, now I feel a little bit lonely. So I think that's where that point gets to, because right now it's giving feedback, but there's no replacement. There's no true replacement for human connection or response. There's no way that you can have it where you get the actual feedback. I mean, if AI says, oh, you made me super happy, does it really feel good? Probably not that much. But if someone says to you, you made me so happy, you're like, okay, that's special. So the more those moments get replaced, I think that's when that loneliness comes in.
So do you think community-driven businesses are the future, basically? This is where entrepreneurship is going to go? That's my hedge, at least. Okay. That's my bet on the market. I think it's the one thing that you can't replace. What we're doing right now, I mean, maybe they were watching people that can be replaced, but what you and I are doing and chatting can't be replaced by anything else. Yeah.
It will never move that way, and I think that's the true reflection of what we're doing. And I think we've kind of migrated from the attention economy to the intention one. And what that means is that people aren't, I mean, even from the influencer side, influencers don't really have the same meaning anymore right now, in the sense that just consuming content, someone doesn't just pop up and you purchase a product because of what they're doing. You want to know who they are. You want to know what they're doing. You want to be interested. They can't just say, buy this thing now, and you go, yes, I want to buy it. You want to see them using it. You want to attach to the intention behind what they're doing. And those are the people that are coming up now, so those authentic based people. And the more that becomes challenged again is whether they're authentic online, we're going to find other ways to find authentic, and that's going to be the in-person side. So, I mean, you look at what we've done with Teams and with Zoom and all these things that were remote working tools, and everyone was like gung-ho on it, and it's great, and they do what they need to do, and it's allowed us to work hybrid or work from home, which most people are pushing for. And it's like, that is cool because you don't get stuck in traffic and all these other consequences, but you also don't have now working in office and your friends that you build through that and those moments that you build through that. Okay, so it taught us how to work remotely but not live remotely. It doesn't teach us how to find those fulfillments and find those connections and find those moments external to that. And that was all the tech that got pushed. But now what about this other side of it? It's like, how do we give people still, I mean, mental health is an important part of businesses. Your employees feeling good and strong and fulfilled is important for them to come into the workplace and to bring that through. So businesses also need to start looking at that from the loneliness side as well.
Coming back to Sociable, what would you say honestly now, like what was the toughest moment for you when building Sociable?
There's been a few. That failed launch event was a massive one. I was sitting on Clifton Beach and just basically questioning life.
Did you do the launch party? Did
yeah,
you
we
still
did
go
it.
ahead with it?
Yeah, we did it. It just wasn't as fruitful as it could have been because we didn't get the sign-ups and the rewards from it that we should have.
Yeah.
But we went ahead because, I mean, it was actually booked and paid for, and you kind of just have to roll with the punches.
Did you tell anyone at the launch party?
We just classified it as a brand launch versus a product launch.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it was neither here nor there, but yeah, it was a learning experience. So that's been one.
Did you find yourself on Clifton after the event? Or?
No, this is before. So we did it. We had hired like a place that competition winners were going to stay in Clifton, and then we were meant to have a launch party there with the people that came through, and just on top of all the other stuff that happened with the beta launch, that place was too small and the team booked it too small. We had to go find another place. It's a story that I'll keep you out for hours with. It's a hilarious story in hindsight. At the moment, I was losing my mind, but that was pretty tough. And I think throughout it as well, I mean, almost every day is a bit of challenge. Every day, especially, building something where you're not sure how people are going to react to it, is always a challenge. And I think just making the call to go all in as well, it's a challenge because you put your life into this. You're also building in public, and I think these are hard moments. Fundraising is also a very, very hard process, very humbling, probably the most humbling process.
How so?
In some ways, it feels like begging. Because you're out there and you're putting it out there. I think also as a founder, you tend to, whether we meant to or not, or whether you say you can or not, it is an extension of you. And so rejection of that will always in some way feel like rejection of you. I know people say, oh, you shouldn't, and that's not what it is. If you really care about your business in any capacity, it will always be something that's a bit of a part of you.
Have you been rejected often or many times?
I mean, you do as a not even direct rejection from sort of the ask, but just in terms of people's interest in pushing you further or applications and that type of stuff. And I think it's a humbling process because, you see something and not everyone does in that moment. Or alternatively, I think the other thing that's quite challenging is in fundraising is there's mandates where funds have certain things that they can invest in. So they'll have like a crypto mandate, so they can only invest in that. And so even if your business is half decent, it doesn't fit their mandate, they can't deploy the funds. And I got a lot of people just saying, oh, do you have blockchain in it? Or do you have AI? And no, we don't. And do I want to? No, because that's just everything's a nail to a hammer. That's just a tool to put in for me to lie to get someone's money. Because I don't see those as beneficial to what we're doing.
So you aren't going to integrate AI into Sociable or blockchain?
Blockchain, definitely not. And not for the foreseeable future. I don't see a reason for it. There's databases which just are blockchain, which just aren't sort of diversified, but they consolidated. But no, we don't need a diversified back end for what we're doing. And in terms of the AI side, not again for the foreseeable future, because I want there to be almost a small barrier into what we're doing to keep the intention high. LinkedIn for the longest time has probably kept its quality longer than most other platforms because there was a built-in implicit barrier to entry. So you couldn't just go on there and just write a random post. You had to think about what you were saying because people were going to react to it. It's the same way most LinkedIn posts don't get as much reach as most other social medias, but you probably hold them in higher regard.
The quality is... Yeah.
So 10, 20 reacts on a LinkedIn feels way better than 10, 20 reacts on Instagram or TikTok. That's failure to you on those platforms, but that's half decent on LinkedIn for a lot of people. 100. I mean, if we're talking, because TikTok, you're going to go thousands of likes on most things. LinkedIn, if you're getting thousands of likes, you're the top echelon of what you're doing. So I think that's just implicit in terms of the way that the platform is set up. You feel more value from that. And so it's the same for us, is that I don't want AI to just be a tool where it's making these things superfluous and just creating generic, unhuman-based communities. Right. I want people to have some sort of intention behind what they're doing.
So if you were to integrate AI, it would help the person signing up, for example, write their information for them as opposed to them actually writing it themselves.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be probably the use case for it, which right now it's not a high enough barrier to introduce it for that. And again, I want to make sure that every step we're taking is, there's one question when we're building anything, it's, are we helping bring people together? If the answer is no, then I'm not doing it. It's distracting. We've got our core vision. We got what we want to do. If I'd rather spend time building a feature that actually achieves that, that's where I'm putting my focus. If I want to build, like we just built in a streaking feature, which basically the more you attend, the more you can earn towards this reward from your streaks, your attending streaks. And with that, then you get a reward of like a discount at a next paid event. So it's helping bring people together, because the more you're doing, you're doing it. We want to encourage that. And then you get a reward to go do something even cooler that maybe you didn't have access to before. Yeah. So that was a mindset, that was a question, and that's how we answered it. So yeah, from the AI side, that's what we also look at.
Okay. So someone they get a streak, they have to go every day to an event?
No, not every day. No, that's even the most extroverted people, it's a bit much. No, but it's just within a given time frame. So within a month, you attend 10 events or whatever it might be.
Oh, okay, got you.
The streaks are up to our discretion in terms of how we apply them. And we'll just track in terms of if people are getting them and if they're getting out there. And we've also just built in achievements as well. So if you follow someone, you get an achievement which you can display on your page. Or if you have 25 followers, if you attended 50 party category events, then you can get these unique achievements and rewards and put them up for people to see, so they can see what you're doing as like, this is what your interests are, this is what you're able to achieve, and to get rewarded for the actions that you take within a community itself. So share 10 events, then you get an achievement, for example.
Man, exciting.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Would you say this journey that you've been on has taken a toll on your mental health in any way?
Yes. I think it would be remiss of anyone in entrepreneurship to say that it hasn't. I think every day you wake up with uncertainty. Even if you are at the forefront of what you're doing, I think you still feel at any moment it can be taken away. I think that there's challenges in the fact that oftentimes it's on you. You think, that decision, it has to be made by you. You don't want to make it, it's got to be made by you. People are dependent on you, they're looking at you, and everything that you're doing has to go towards that. I think there's moments where you would like to just step back or take a rest. That doesn't come. It's going to be there when you get back, and I think that's challenging. And I also think you create a burden for yourself in general, just because you have a vision, and if you really believe in what you're doing and you are building that, you are the conduit to that vision. So my vision is not for me to be massively successful. That's a byproduct. My vision is to create a world that people feel aligns with them, that brings them together, and that brings them passion. I want that to happen. I'm nervous for people that doesn't happen. So this is a vision I believe needs to be in the world. And now I also believe it's on my shoulders in this current state to try and do something about it. And I think that's at times taxing. And entrepreneurship in general is very high highs and very low lows. But the highs are amazing. So, I mean, sometimes I'm just drained, tired. I've just had meeting after meeting, shooting content, going to events, and I'm just drained. And then I have a meeting come up and I don't really feel like doing this. And I go meet with them and I'm like, and afterwards I walk out of there and I'm 10 feet tall, because to just hear the feedback that I get from people, it's the most fulfilling thing I could ever think of doing. I don't think I've ever left the meeting feeling worse than when I got in. I'm always just so happy. It makes my day so much brighter. And so the mental health does have a bit of an impact, but at the same time, from the negative side, it has the most positive, at least what I'm doing, the most positive mental impact, because I know that people will say, this changed my life.
Yeah. Is there any things you do, like habits or routines that you have to sort of offset these problems or these feelings, these negative feelings? Like you mentioned now, you go to the meeting, for example, and you feel much better coming out of that. Do you run? Do you hike? Or do you...
I'm deeply routined as a person. Most people that know me will know that. Gym is a big part of my life. I train every morning before work.
What time is that?
Winter's pushing it in Cape Town now, but mostly somewhere between 5:30 and 6:15 is usually when I'm in the gym. Yeah, every morning. Yeah, so it's a bit of a funny story, but I'm going for 1,000 days in a row with no rest doing that.
Really, every single day.
Every single day. Yeah. So
wow.
I'm on 930, I think. So almost there with that.
So like strength training in the gym kind of, or cardio?
Six days of strength, 1 day of cardio. And if I'm away, obviously that's predominantly then just cardio and body weight, because it's difficult to get strength training when you're in the bush. But yeah, that's been the journey. So I'm always hesitant to say my routines, because that's not healthy for anyone. I wouldn't advise it.
But why are you doing it then? What is the reason?
So I started this because I got my Apple Watch and you get a month reward for doing it. I was like, a month of training is not too difficult. And I was meant to start on the 1st of January 2023, and obviously New Year's, and I was just too hungover the next day. And so I missed it. And then I trained from the 2nd until the 2nd of the next month, 2nd of Feb. And I was like, this is great, I get my reward. And then I realized it wasn't 30 days or 31 days, it was a calendar month. So from 1st of that calendar so I had to do Feb as well. And in that moment, I looked back on the 1st of January and just thought, I can't believe I was so fragile that one small thing I couldn't just get over it and go train. I couldn't have been feeling that bad. It was just a poor excuse. And so I thought, bugger that. If my mindset can be so weak, then that's going to throw me off a lot of things in life. So let me just push it. And I was going to do another month now. And it just felt easy. And then it was 6 months, and then it was a year. And then I was going to stop at 2 years, and someone was like, but it's so close to 1,000 days. And my brain that likes to be a completionist was, 1,000. So it just kind of extended. But what it did teach me is the power of a decision versus a choice or a question. So if you give yourself the opportunity to say no, every day you're going to wake up and have to make that choice. It's, do I go train? Oh, yes or no? Yes. Some days it's going to be no, some days, but it's tiring. I'll wake up now going, I'm training today. When am I training? It's typically morning.
Not am I going to go train?
Same way most people don't think, am I going to eat today, unless they're fasting. You just do it. It's who you are. And this is who I am. And that liberated me a lot, because it showed me that there's so many things in life that it's just who I am. If you can just make that choice, if you can just adapt, it really is a power to you. I don't think I can ever do this, until you just decide, okay, well, I am doing it, and you can do it. I don't think I could ever, I always think, and I'm still, don't know how I would react, but people that have really, damaging accidents and lose a limb, and then you just watch them carry on. You're like, how? But for them, it was just, this is life now. There's no choice in the matter. I'm doing it. And it's so rewarding to me to watch these people do that, because it's adversity and it's power, but it just shows you the human spirit, that once you stop making choices and worrying about it, you can just do. And then it just frees up moments in your life as well. For people that say, I'm trying to quit smoking, every time they see a cigarette, it's like, I want to quit. If they just say, I'm not a smoker, someone could walk past you and you feel nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not a smoker, so people walk past me, I'm like, oh, I don't feel anything. But people that are trying to quit, they see that, and every time it's a choice, it's taxing, it's tiring. And if you're going on the human spirit and human will, at some point it's going to falter, because everything does. But if you don't give that up, if you don't like put yourself in those positions, it actually frees up more time for you to focus on other things. So the fitness is a big part of my routine. I'm a man of faith as well. That's been a big part of my journey and really kept me grounded. Something that I'm super grateful for. And then I think finding pleasure in what you're doing in this. If you're not passionate about what you're doing and this is what you got to go through, I don't know how people do that. Genuinely, if it's just for money, I don't know how you're going to do that, because eventually it just stops feeling good. And there's hard moments, and the only thing that's going to pull you through is not the thought of, because you can make money in other ways. And then you start thinking about that. It's like, I could make money doing that. So if you don't really believe in what you're doing, because people conflate the word work with what I do. So when I tell people, I'm working, and they go, how do you work so much? It's because the word is changed. You seeing it as sitting behind a desk and just administrative, boring, mundane stuff. I'm seeing it as problem solving and fulfilling and getting to talk to people. So we're using the same word, but you know,
it means different things.
It means different things. It's semantically very different.
What does your work schedule look like? Like, so you go to gym early mornings, and then do you start work immediately after that?
Yeah. So typically from, as I say, winter, sometimes it's ways depending on how cold it is, but typically from 7:30, 8 in the morning, I start working, and then I typically finish at about 7:30, 8 at night. I try to get 7 hours of sleep. I need that to operate. So people say, 4 hours of sleep, I can't do that. I'm not one of those people. So yeah, I typically stop working at about 7:30, 8, and then unwind, bed, up at 5 the next day.
Are you single, or have you got a partner?
No, I've got a partner. Yeah.
Okay. How long have you guys been together?
Over a year now.
Over a year.
So, yeah,
how do you manage that? Because working, it's quite late, 8 p.m. It's not typical hours.
It's not for everyone. It's tough. This relationship, fortunately, I was doing this before it started, and so she's incredibly supportive and incredibly understanding, helps me more with it than probably I could, because obviously working those hours, stuff gets pushed to the wayside. Things, making food.
Making food's a big one. Yeah.
I'll eat the most boring things because I just don't have time. But then she'll step in and try and help me out with that. So it takes a lot for people that are around you. I don't even think just partners. I think friends, family. When you take this journey, it can be a very, very selfish journey, and it's not for everyone, and it's not their problem either. They didn't make this choice. So you have to understand that when you talk to people, it's not their choice to make. And so when people say, I can't do this, understand 100% you shouldn't. Relationships might end, or people might not really want to be friends with you because of this, and that's fine. You shouldn't actually take it to heart. No one signed up for this but you. They necessarily aren't getting the direct reward from it, but they're taking all the weight from it. So you have to understand the people that are sticking around, you appreciate them. This is not an easy journey. I mean, if you look at competition prep and exercise guys as well, that go like with the World Cup, they are regimented, they are training. It's tough for their partners. It is. And so you have to understand that.
Why do you think friendships fall apart? What would the reasons be? Because you can't spend as much time with them. You say no to going out or that kind of thing.
That kind of thing. I think also just presence. It's difficult to just be in a moment. Your mind's always a bit there. If in a meeting, you're getting a phone call, you've got to bounce out for that. Can't make solid plans because you're not really sure what your schedule is going to look like. Not everyone understands that. And some people you're friends with for reasons, and they enjoy certain things that are sort of contra to what you're doing. And that's that case, or there's a lot of different reasons, but this highlights a lot of them. And as I say, anything that's a sort of a selfish endeavor is going to put those pressures on, and sometimes you just fall away from that.
Yeah, I wonder where does it go though? Do you think that ever will change? I mean, surely you're going to get more and more and more busy as Sociable grows, right? I mean, when will there come a time where there'll be more of a balance?
I think there will be more of a balance. I think as the business starts to mature, your time changes slightly. So I think once your team starts to expand, now you delegating, hopefully it's a very difficult thing to do, to delegate, but hopefully that should free up a bit more time for you. there's going to be pockets where you're just crunching, and that's going to happen, and I think that will always be the case. But I think there are moments where you can get your team underneath you and you're not too stressed about making payroll this month because you've got the finances, or you've got the investment behind it, and you've got the team that are going, that can free you up to have those moments. But I think in the early days, it's the hardest. It's difficult to just do that because it's just on you.
So from what I read, you were like a one-man army, right? When you started Sociable. So have you hired now? Have you got a team?
Yeah, so it wasn't one man to begin with. It was myself and a co-founder. Yeah. And then he ended up moving back to Durban and pursuing other things. So
he's not involved.
So he's tangentially involved, but not in the same vein. And through that journey, we also had a lot of people that were a part of it that offered a lot. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this was just all me, and I could paint that story. It's easy to do so, but it's not the truth. We had people that believed in us, that were early stage employees and friends that helped us more than I can imagine. With a lot of different things. And then recently we've got some new hires. So we have operations manager that's just joined us, Ayanda. Our creative director Emrys has also joined. We have a community manager in Sibukazi. So amazing team that are doing great things right now, and super grateful to have them on board. And the change in the business since bringing them on, and you just chalk and cheese. You just realize how much people actually offer to you. It's a bit difficult to delegate and to relinquish because you've been doing this so long with just everything as you. It's something I'm still learning to do, but having people that are like that in your space and just to lift you up, and it's made the world of difference.
How do you go about hiring people? What's your process look like?
So these people all came to me in a very unique way, through different aspects. So Ayanda was someone that I knew for many years back in Durban, and she worked for us briefly when we first started last year, and then we didn't really know how to manage the relationship and didn't give her the tools to succeed, and it kind of like filtered out. And so she's always just been like tangentially or close enough to the business that she understood it. So that was easy to offer her a position, to bring her on board. Emrys came about because we were working with Orms, and he was at Orms at the time. I needed to find a videographer, and I knew, being at Orms, he knew a ton of people. And so I asked him, do you know anyone that can fill this role? And he said, well, funny enough, I'm going to start freelancing from next month. So that just came about there organically as well. And then Sipokazi came through one of our communities, Sarah from Socially Gathering. I asked her, do you know anyone that would fit the community management role well? And she recommended her. So I'm always hesitant to do I mean, as we expand, it's going to have to go that way because it's just time. But in the beginning, to just do general applications, because this business specifically is very, very much driven from the belief in what we're doing and the passion for that. And if you don't understand that, I don't want you in the business. If you're here to just make a quick buck, I don't want you in the business. If you don't understand the impact that we're making on people's lives, I don't want you here. And I said to all of them up front, this is what I want to do. This is the vision that I have. Do you understand it? Because this business is going to ask a lot of you. And unless you understand that, there's going to be times when you just don't want to do it. And if you don't believe in that, you won't do it. Especially in startups, it's difficult. You can't hide. Startups are in the open. Like if you think, at big corporates, you can not do your job for a week and kind of just like get away with it. Doesn't happen in startups. You have to do it. Otherwise, you're pausing everyone's work. So it asks a lot of people there. So you have to find the right people for the culture. Culture is super, super important in the early days of startups.
Yeah. What would you say is one thing about entrepreneurship, that's changed? Like your idea of entrepreneurship, has anything changed since before you started Sociable versus now?
Yes, for a lot of different reasons. I think the most interesting thing is probably the fact that most people are truly uncertain behind the scenes. They might put forward something that they're doing this and that, and you're like, that's amazing, and you chat to them and they're just as stressed as everyone else. They're just as uncertain as everyone else. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how they got here. It's just they're here now and they're just trying to like make things work. You kind of realize how much that happens, and to large scales. Companies where people are, I mean, huge companies, and the CEO is like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit uncertain there, I didn't know that. And how many people are also probably in a very similar mindset or position to you, that you don't quite realize. And I think it kind of pulled that veil away of that. Everyone starts somewhere, everyone's kind of trying to be somewhere, and there's realness behind that. No one's just gone through life easily and just brisk through to these positions unless they're very, very fortunate.
Yeah. Are you ever planning to launch Sociable overseas? Like, you're starting obviously in South Africa.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to do that?
Yeah. So we launching. Obviously, we launched in Cape Town. We're looking at launching in Durban in a few weeks. So that's probably the first most people know about that. And then Joburg there afterwards. And then just getting South Africa to the point where people are using it the way that it's intended. And then, yeah, overseas is definitely the goal. I can't say I want to bring people together and bring passion back just here. This is a global thing. And it has to be a global thing for everyone. I want that for people. So that is very much the case. And yeah, we'll see how that looks and how we get there and sort of what strategic partners and fundraisers that looks like to get us to that point. But without a doubt, that is the intention.
Well, how would you go about doing that? Like, what will your process look like? So let's say, for example, you want to launch in London. How do you come to the decision that you want to do it there? And then what do you do to actually launch there? How does that work?
So the decision on the place, you want to look at a few factors. Why I think Europe will probably be the next point is time zone. So we're operating in a very similar time zone. So your costs can pretty much stay in South Africa and you can arbitrage to foreign currency when you're working there. So if you want to do your support teams, they're here. If you want to run calls, you can run them from here. So I'd probably find a city that looks like that. One that's accessible in terms of probably language barriers is a big one. So time zones, language barriers is already two decisions that get made. A lot of foot traffic and openness would probably be another one. Accessibility and safety, probably another one. So we start, using these criteria to work on what a city looks like for the optimal one to go through. And then it will be the rollout place. It's from the technical side, it's easy. I mean, technically the app is available globally. Right. We haven't activated it globally, but it's there. That's the beauty of working in tech companies, is that you can leverage the technology seamlessly across border without a lot of cost. And
you say it's not activated, so people, if they searched it in London, they would find it, but they wouldn't be able to utilize it.
We haven't pushed the market awareness there for people to host their events and for people to attend. So
okay, I get you.
We haven't done any marketing push, so people probably don't know to look for it and to go use it.
But theoretically, they could use it if,
Yeah. So we had, obviously, Australia was where we kind of tried to launch first throughout that whole initial story that I said. But so we had some Australian people using it at that time, and then South African. So we do have footprint everywhere, but obviously it takes a bit of market penetration to those things, or go-to-market strategies that you need for different markets.
Because you need critical mass with your platform, basically.
Very much so.
Is there a specific number that you know you need?
No, I don't think there's a number. It's just an equilibrium game. So numbers really don't mean much in the sense of one raw number. So it's a balancing number. So you need enough people attending events that people want to host their events, but you also need enough events that people that are attending find things to do. So these are two numbers, and the equilibrium is far more important than the one critical mass. Because if you find enough people doing enough things and you find enough things going on that people can do, that becomes an ecosystem that will self-sustain. It's a closed, we don't have to touch it. We don't have to market on it. It kind of markets itself. It does its own thing. And the more that people are attending, this works, maybe I'll host mine. And now they're doing it. And it operates. But it's getting to that point that takes the sort of the budget in the beginning. And that takes a bit of elbow grease. Yeah. That takes a bit of us going to host to onboard them, or to offer giveaways, or to encourage and incentivize the use case. But once it hits that one point, it's doing it. And then it becomes fun, because now it's just about how do we boost up these communities? How do we find new ones? How do we empower? How do we do this? How do we go to new places? That's like the fun part, because now the stress of making sure it hits that point is done. Yes. Now it's just rolling. It's like, how do we move this faster? How do we move that there? That's kind of where we would do. And that same strategy is we can replicate across markets. How we do it might look slightly different depending on the place, but at the end of the day, people always want things to do, and people want to bring people together for their passions. Everyone's got a passion in the world. There's no one person in the world that doesn't have a passion. It might be weird, but they've got one. And so if we can motivate them to start something, we can bring those people there. So it would look very, very similar across the board. It's how do we find people doing stuff? How do we say to them, here's a tool to make your life easier to bring those people together? Or you've got this, have you thought about doing that? And then it's just about bringing awareness to the general market and then you hit that next equilibrium point, next market, next market, next market. And the further you go, the more brand reputation, traction, awareness that you have, the easier it's going to get, the more content bank you've built up that people can see the proof of concept. Yeah. And the more that your platform is refined and more features are built out, it just becomes easier and easier.
Yeah. How would you go about marketing though? Are you ad campaigns, that kind of thing? Like what's your go-to strategy?
So, yeah, we very basic ad campaigns that we run, but what we've managed to do is, it's just basically because of what we have done, is that our position in the market is very much value-based. And value-based in terms of what we offer, but value-based in terms of what we believe in. And most people really want to see that. So we try to be really authentic with our content, to do interviews with hosts, as I said earlier, to bring out, why they've done certain things. And people really attach to that. For us to talk about it ourselves, that it was a real thing, to get in front of camera. This is not just some brand that you're never going to see the people that built it. You're going to hear why we did it. You're going to see me consistently. You're gonna hear why we believe in it. You're gonna hear the passion and the truth behind what we're doing, and that's what people really attach to. Is that we're not trying to be a brand that you see a logo or that you get an email from. You see the email footage. So you'll meet me. Almost every single host has probably met me, because we try. If they pop something on, we hop on a call with them. What do you need from us? How can we help you? What struggles have you found? Do you need me to come work the door for you? Because I'll do that, and I have done that. I'm dead serious, and I will. Whatever we can do to help out, we love to do that.
So if you launch, say, again, just use London as the example. Let's say you launch in London, will you physically go there as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
But ideally, you want to launch in locations, in the beginning at least, with similar time zones.
Yeah.
So that you can keep your team local.
Yeah.
And
so we would probably find partners within that location to help facilitate.
Like
so
community managers,
that kind of general stuff. The tech side, we wouldn't have to, because the tech is very much global, which is super easy. Operations and administration as well, we can just leave kind of wherever, similar time zones. And obviously, as we expand, we'll kind of figure out what we necessarily need. But for the most part, because the product is not necessarily even the platform, it's the communities that are building on there. They become the product in and of itself. They are an extension of your marketing team. So whenever I go to like communities now, I'll say, we'll come shoot content for you, we'll come interview you this, and they go, what does that charge us? Nothing. And they go, okay, but that doesn't make sense. Why are you charging us nothing for this? And I say, because my marketing budget is your marketing budget. I win if you win. So if I can show people what you're doing and bring people there, through that, I end up winning, or Sociable ends up winning. So it's super easy for me to say this, and you can believe what I'm saying because it's the truth. I don't have to try and pull wool over your eyes. It looks free to you, but it's just free because your success is mine, because you technically are in some way, shape, or form the product.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And so that's what, I wouldn't have to hire huge teams and local things, because they are the product, the communities. It's very, very cool.
True. Yeah. How does Sociable make money now? Like, I'm trying to understand how that process works. Because do people pay on the platform?
So there are premium features that you can have access to.
Like as hosts or
as hosts, okay. Not for people attending. And I will never put a direct payment barrier for people attending events, because, again, the question is, am I bringing people together?
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm isolated, I want to find friends, I must pay. It's ridiculous.
No one's going to do that.
No, but even if they do, that's ridiculous. That's monetizing someone's problem. That doesn't feel good. There's ways that you can make them win and take off the top of winnings, versus trying to pay them for some issue that they have. That's predatory to me. So we do have our premium features for hosts, and that just gives you access to features that are over and above what would just generally be meeting up as friends. So that's things like, you want to do recurring events, you want to do increase promotional images, you want to do banner images to stand out, you really want to encourage, you want to do unlimited attendees on your events, and have simultaneous events, more than, I think it's up to 20 simultaneous events at one time. So you're probably a brand and a community that's making some sort of money, and then you're going to get our premium features. So in that case, when you win, we win. Like, you're getting stuff that's going to increase the value of your community, and then obviously we can get some kickback from that to be a business. So that's one avenue. We do have our pass features for paid events. We don't call them tickets because we're not a ticketing platform. And so if people want to do a paid event, then we can get commission off the passes. It's not really high. It's not our main core focus, but obviously that's some supplementary income that we can get there. And because our services are built in a very unique way, it's very scalable. And it's amazing. And then we've got some very cool features which are to be discussed for people to know. I think it's going to really disrupt the market quite a lot. I don't see a lot of people doing it in terms of the way that it should be done now, and leveraging this. And I think, again, it's going to just really encourage communities to be able to be sustainable financially themselves, and to win and to grow and to succeed from that. And again, we will just take commission off these certain sort of structures. So it's going to be very, very leverageable.
You can't share the ideas.
No, not yet. It's something that people will probably see more of in the coming months. We're just doing our last bits of testing on it. But until, again, with tech, testing, sometimes you think it's 90% of the way there, that last 10% will take 90% of the time. So I'm always hesitant to say things and build up expectations until we've tested it out and we know we go into market with that. But yeah, very, very exciting.
In terms of competitors, how do you work around them? Do you have any competitors currently?
It depends how people classify the business and the product and the brand. I say no. Some people say yes. Some people ask about Facebook. Is that a competitor? WhatsApp, is that a competitor? Some ways yes, some ways no. They've all got their use cases for different things. WhatsApp's a very, very good channel to have large scale communication, but not fantastic to have one intention based thing like attending events and finding out details. Oh, what are the details again? Just resend it now. Everyone's having a discussion. Or you close off the channel. It's very one way. It doesn't really feel like a community. It's probably not that conducive to that. You're on it for a million other different reasons, and you've got that. Facebook, exact same thing. It was a great platform that got too verbose and made it very, very complex. I always say people going on to find their birthdays, have political arguments, and then find things to do. It's too much. Too much in one thing. Like, I just want to know I'm here. There's no clutter. There's no other crap going on. I'm just finding it for this. And so if people want to paint a box and take it on that, possibly we have competitors. But to me, no, not necessarily. And not in the approach that we're taking where it is community focused. And I think that's the big aspect of what we're really drumming up. I'm sure there probably are some out there that see themselves that way. But in their space, communities are real. And if people are really doing that in the correct ways, then more power to them. I think people need a product like this and need alternatives, not just in the communities in here, but in general, the stuff that's fulfilling, and not trying to take the shortest cut to leverage our dopaminergic systems to make money, because that's what everyone's doing. Everyone's trying to figure out, how do we serve this person this flashy content or this ad, and take dopamine. You finish the day and you just like, every single day you just, wow, because everything took from you that day. And everyone's trying to figure out the next way to take dopamine from you, the next way to take from you. No one's thinking, how do we give back? Because they don't see that as like a viable product to win. It's like, but it is, because there's also serotonin, there's also giving people fulfillment and feeling good about what they're doing. Or you can also make a successful business on that. Sure, it's not as expedient, it's not as catchy and flashy, but it's sustainable. And also it's not as competitive because everyone's doing this and everything's going. I mean, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, very similar product across the board. Okay, but some of them are winning and some are losing because they're all competing the exact same way. Okay, but then YouTube on its own is doing really well because it's the only real long form content that people get from that. It's different. Sure, it might not be as instantaneous success, but it's unique and you don't have to operate and chasing everyone else and getting that flashy thing, okay? Yeah, because it's a different way that people are operating. And I think the market is super hesitant on touching that because it's not as instantaneous and not as flashy, and it's not as gambling. You know, with dopaminergic businesses, it's gambling. You can put it in and maybe it blows up, maybe it doesn't. Okay, but if it does blow up, you get huge returns. And that's why you're seeing the people that we're chasing, sort of your cryptos, as much as they say, the technology is amazing, it's going to change the world, they want it to make quick money. Same thing with AR. The reason it's really attractive is because you can reduce your operating costs heavily, and the more that the ARs get better, you don't have to hire as many people, but you're paying customers in return. So your profit on your business is super, super high for very low effort. And people are hoping that they can get the business that does that. But everyone's chasing, and not everyone can win in that market. And right, so I think that's where it's going to come down to, is like, who's taking a different approach to business, because this is not sustainable. Trying to get dopamine from everyone at any given time is not sustainable. We can't always be the flashy advert, the loud sounds, every app is shortcutting this. there's a finite limit to our dopamine. And if we're fighting for the last drops and scraps of that, it's going to be a race to the bottom. And at the bottom, we're all fighting for nothing. But if you look at it differently, okay, well, let those people fight about that. How do I give back? How do I make people go on this and actually go, oh, that was amazing, and fill them up again?
Yeah,
it's like, cool. That's a very different market, and that's where I want to play in.
It's very interesting. I've got a couple more questions. One of them is, what advice would you give to the listeners who, they have this epic idea that they want to, put into this world, but they're like just too scared to actually do it? Do you have any advice for those people?
Take it to market. The market will tell you very quickly.
How do they take it to market?
I mean, depends on how complex the idea is to get live. If it's a software thing, there's so many tools to get even basic generic versions of it out there. Try and get some sort of version of it out there, because everyone's got great ideas. I mean, mine alone. When I first built this, I said I worked doors, and I used to basically scan people in for the events that we ran. And the one day we were running an event, and some guy came through and showed us his ticket and going to scan it off, and he was like, oh, this app is crap, eh? And he's like, no offense. And I was like, I actually built it, so it's a little bit of offense. And he obviously didn't know, because I was working the door. Yeah. And he was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And then came and found me at the end of the night. Like, I was trying to be cool in front of my friends, and he like apologized. But he was right. It wasn't great, because I was still learning. It wasn't a great product. And fair enough to him.
Did you ask him what he found shit about it?
Yeah, but by the end of the night, he had a few drinks, so it was a bit difficult of a conversation. He was just trying to be apologetic, but he was right. And we got a lot of feedback throughout the time about what was right and what was wrong. Our approach to the way we positioned ourselves alone was wrong. We went down going for like hosting festivals and that kind of stuff, which is, to me, it's getting done, and it's getting done by really good players in the market. The people that are the ticketing platforms are hosting those huge ticketed events, and they're good at what they do. And people don't need new ways to find those things. Those things are happening regardless. So how do we find things that aren't getting showcased? And that's kind of what we're building. But we had to figure that out by going to market and realizing that. And so I think a lot of people have ideas, and it's cool because you can talk about your ideas till the cows come home. You have every day, this idea, what if we did this? You can talk about it. It means nothing. It's just air until you actually take it live. And if you really believe in what you're doing, try your best to figure out a way to take it live. Act on it. Once the minute you say it out loud and you actually act on it, you start to realize whether you do care about it, and you start realizing how to make it real, and you start realizing how you need to adapt to make it real. If you're just saying it, you're going to be one of those guys that, I was going to be a professional player, but my old knee. It's the same thing. I was going to start this business, but I thought of that before that person. There's probably every business everyone said, I actually had that idea so many years ago. Great. Everyone did, but one person acted on it. Was it you? No. Well, that's why you're saying it about that person. So act on it if you really believe in it. Figure out a way to do it. Do it if it means working after hours, if it means taking MVP, if it means chatting to potential customers and seeing if it's actually a necessary thing. Do that. Go get market research. Go phone up businesses. Would this help you? Yes. Okay, if I started building this, would you use it? Yes. Okay, so if I built it in this sort of time frame and I didn't charge you a single cent, would you be a use case to give bug feedback? If it's a software product or if it's an in-person product, would you give me feedback about our services? Yes. Okay, cool. Now you've got a plan. Now you can start getting there and you get feedback. If it doesn't work out, there's no risk. If it does work out, great. You've got one person that's a case study that you can take to the next business. So now you go to them. Oh, here's a discount. Yeah, you can use my product for this, or you don't pay for the first 2 years. Figure it out. Then you can use that and go to the next one. But take it to market. Otherwise, you're just sitting in your head and it's either good or bad, but you don't actually know.
But what if they have this fear that it's just this fear that they can't really control? Or they don't know how to take it to market. They don't know these things. They have this idea, but they just lack information.
Find someone that's done something similar, even if they're just one step ahead. I'm always so hesitant to say, find the guy that's done this and he's the top entrepreneur, because they don't respond. Yeah. They get DM'd 24/7. I mean, I've tried my best to get certain people to be bouncing sounding boards for me and just mentors. Doesn't come. It's a fight for time. They fight for time. Sometimes you get really lucky. There's so many sort of stories out of people that have got lucky. I haven't necessarily got that, where there was just this one person that just came in and just stepped in and was always there. But there's people that have just been one step ahead in the journey that I've got a lot of good feedback from. And then the next step in the journey, I get that. And try find those people. Just
like LinkedIn, reach out to them.
reach out to me. I'll try to chat to people, but I always preface it that if you think I'm so far ahead, I'm probably looking at myself like this. Everyone else is so far ahead. So I can tell you where I got to this point. And usually what I try and tell them is not how to do something, it's what not to do. Because I haven't made all the right choices, but I can tell you what didn't work. And fantastic, at least that will help you. Don't pay for the same mistakes I did. Like, at least take my mistakes and don't replicate them. That's the best thing that you can do. Make your own mistakes and then tell that to the next person and let them make their own mistakes. So at least we start to synthesize the mistakes down and we figure out the right path that way. But just try and find people and chat to them and see everyone's got a story, everyone's got a journey, everyone's got a lesson. Sometimes they contradict, but you're going to get real world application from that, feedback from it. Like, I mean, I can tell you the mistakes we made with the devs. I made a mistake because I didn't understand the process and let them pull the wool over my eyes because I had no understanding. So my advice to people now is if they're not a dev, they don't have a technical founder in their team, find someone that is a technical person, ask them to possibly sit in a meeting with you in a pitch call or in a chat with developers, and then debrief afterwards and let them basically regurgitate all the acronyms that these people threw around into practical language to you to understand what's actually going on. Mm-hmm. Because you know nothing and it sounds great when they're talking about this and, oh yeah, that API is doing this and that. Most people, it means nothing. Yeah. It happened to me plenty. And then I look back and I'm like, that guy was spewing so much crap to me in hindsight.
Then you didn't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, that's wow.
So what are they doing that for? What's their reason?
You can charge anyone whatever you want. If you're telling them words and they're like, I could never do this myself, that's way too impressive. I don't even understand what that is.
Is it common in this world that devs will, they'll say, okay, the project's going to take 60 hours or whatever the case may be, and then it ends up being 90 hours. They knew that it was going to take longer.
There's never been a project that I've seen or worked on that's ever been delivered on time.
Yeah.
Ever.
And do you think that's because it is just more complex than they first thought, or they're just taking their time so that they can charge more?
I think it's always more complex than they first thought because people put their best foot forward. Not even software development, construction generally. Yeah. They come in with a bid, they want to win the bid, they get it, and then it's extended. So it's two part because it's the developers misunderstanding and their time. It's very difficult to figure out what's actually, because one small problem can set you back hours and days. Yeah. It's also the client doesn't know how to communicate what they want effectively because
true, and new ideas pop up all the time.
And if you could, it's like that little is a month worth of work. It's just if you could it's very complicated, and I think again that's not understanding the technical aspect can cause that to happen. And so for me, when I'm saying if you've got no tech guys, because a technical founder will always have your best interest at heart, but outsourced developers have their best interest at heart. So if you're not going to have someone internal doing that, then find someone external to sit alongside you and just, even if you pay them for the hour, just, hey, do you mind just sitting on this call, debrief me afterwards what actually is going on? Or can I have a meeting with you and you can basically turn that into language that the developers can understand. As a business analyst is what they call BAs. But have that outsourced just to save you, that will save you more money than you can probably imagine just by paying in the beginning. It's going to cost you a little bit and then it's going to save you a ton. Yeah. That's my advice, and that came because of my mistakes. Yeah. I'm not telling you like the best thing to do. I'll tell you how to avoid at least part of what went wrong with us. So do that with other people if they're willing. People are very hesitant because everyone's got an ego and wants to be the best at things. So try and find people that don't because everyone's made mistakes.
Okay, Jason, let's cut one second. I need to pee really bad. I'll take this off. Yeah. Give me a second, man. That's what happens when you're drinking that.
No, don't stress at all.
You don't need a bathroom, right?
No, I'm
good. Okay, man. So, is there anything else you would like to add before we end off?
I think that probably covers it. I know you got an earful, so you're getting it all. I think
where can people find Sociable? On Instagram?
Found it on the app stores specifically of us out there, but found it on socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all the general social media platforms. Found me somewhere in Cape Town. Give me a call. Find out if you're interested in learning on how to build a community, thinking about starting one, want to join in and you're not sure how to find one or you're a little bit anxious. Chat to me. We'll make a plan. We try and be encouraging, and you'll probably find me at some of them. I'll come along with you. I know some people are a little bit anxious about trying something new, and they're not sure who they're going to meet or what face to recognize. Get a hold of me. I want to make sure that we live the product that we say. We live our visions and our our values, and that is to offer people this. So don't be hesitant, don't be shy. There's a world out there if you really just step out of it. You never know what's going to happen. You never know how your life could change, or who you could meet, or what you could feel. Just go for it.
Epic. Thank you, man. Appreciate your time, man.
And yours.